My name is Neil Adger and I'm a professor in human geography and part of the Global Systems Institute. I've been teaching here at the University of Exeter for the last 6 years, and my research is on the social dimensions of environmental change, looking at people's lives, livelihoods, public health aspects and people's well-being. Communities these days are extremely challenged in all sorts of social and environmental dimensions. Climate change is one dimension that we're looking at very carefully, but looking at it not as a future risk, but looking at the impacts of weather-related risks in the present day. So for example, we're working in Somerset with vulnerable communities who've experienced flooding and are likely to experience that flooding in the future, to give them voice and to help them plan for their own future. That research has shown how, for example, floods are really detrimental to people's well-being individually, but if they act as communities, or when they act as communities, that can offset many of the negative impacts on mental health and other dimensions that are particularly challenging to deal with in the area of floods. There's a common discourse that climate change will cause an exodus of people, that there is this phenomenon called environmental migration or climate migration. In work that we have done across South Asia and in West Africa, we have gone directly to migrants and worked with them and asked them about their motivations for moving. It turns out that they don't identify themselves as climate or environmental migrants. The principal reasons why people move around the world are to do with economic opportunities and to do with educational opportunities, and that is very well established, even when people are moving from areas of risk. However, changes in food security, environmental degradation are underpinning and exacerbating some of these risks and changing the calculus of when and why people are moving. So we would say this is a complex relationship between migration and environment, and there is no single category of environmental migrants, but the changing nature of environmental risk is certainly contributing to the aggregate flows of people around the world. The types of research that we do, the interdisciplinary research, we really focus on particular places. This is one of the strengths of geography as a discipline, to examine people in places and those human-environment relations. The Institute is a fantastic opportunity to be more interdisciplinary and to broaden many of the topics that we're looking at. For example, one of the key dimensions that we believe is missing from many analyses is how demographic change now and in the future affects the challenge to sustainability. So for example, we have a large project now in pilot phase looking at the sustainability of cities in, for example, Bangladesh, and looking at how migration to those cities gives both an opportunity and a challenge to make those places much more sustainable. Again, we're working directly with communities and collecting data, giving voice to migrant communities and integrating them into processes of planning for sustainable futures.